All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Midwest City Council. What day is it? 27th of April 19. Yeah, this is going to go well tonight. 2021. I'm glad y'all are here. We've got the front end of this thing is jam-packed, so we'll go ahead and get started. I want to introduce Cadet Lynn from Carl Albert High School. He's one of our ROTC cadets. He is a junior at Carl Albert. He'll be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. He plans to go to college when he graduates, but just not sure where. He mentioned MIT. So, would everybody stand, and Mr. Sullivan, would you lead us in the prayer?
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day we've enjoyed today, Father. It's been a great day in Midwest City, and we give you glory and honor for that. Father, we thank you for these men and women who serve on this council. And Father, we know they have difficult decisions before them tonight, and we ask your blessing of wisdom and discernment be upon them. Father, we ask you to give them peace in their decisions as well once they're made. We thank you so much for the great state of Oklahoma and this great nation. And Father, we thank you for those who are defending it all over the world tonight. Thank you for them, and they're willing to sacrifice for this great land. We ask your protection and peace be upon them as well. Father, we have so many great employees here tonight that we're going to honor, and we thank you for those who have chosen to enjoy retirement and those who continue to serve this great city. Father, we ask your protection be upon them. Some are at the helm right now tonight as we meet. We thank you so much for your son Jesus, the blessing of his death on the cross and the blood that was shed on our behalf. We ask these favors in his holy name. Amen.
At this time, I would like the audience to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and be seated. We'll start off with the community-related announcements. Mr. Lyon.
Thank you, Mayor. Start off with the Reno Swim and Slide is now selling early bird season passes through May 7th for $35 each. After May 7th, pool passes go up $10 to $45, and our pool will open on May 29th, and it will be at full capacity this year. And a reminder, it'll be closed on Tuesdays. We're accepting pool applications, and we'll have our hiring event on May 10th. We also have many jobs, especially in line maintenance, posted on our job board and our website. So please, if you're looking for full-time work, have a look at our job board. The third Saturday of each month is Cruisin' for Coffee from April to October. Classic cars, custom motorcycles will be on display in the parking lot of Santa Fe Cattle Company from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Admission is free. There are no vehicle entry fees, and all ages are welcome at the event. Santa Fe is located at Soonertown Center, which is 7101 Southeast 29th Street. And next event coming up is Saturday, May 8th, is the Covered in Color Sidewalk Chalk Competition and Art Celebration from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Charles Johnson Central Park. Registrations are being accepted now for the Sidewalk Chalk Competition. You can find that at the events page on visitmidwestcity.com. Covered in Color will feature live entertainment, art vendors, and local organizations showcasing their work. Parking is available in at Town Center Plaza, and admission is free for this event. We're also, I guess we'll announce at the next council meeting, we will have a ribbon cutting. It'll be a little bit different for the park that same day. So at 11 a.m., I believe. Where's Josh? Is Josh here? 11 a.m. Okay. So that'll be the groundbreaking for WP Bill Atkinson Park. And Don Meisch, we have a new city attorney here tonight. We're happy to have. He's on his, I think, third day. Yes. Don's going to tell us a little bit about his background, and we're very glad to have him here.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Don Meisch. As Cynthia said, I'm on my third day. I've been a practicing attorney for 30 years now. For the last 3 years, I was with the city of Oklahoma City, working with their water utilities trust, managing all their contracts, and managing about 40,000 acres that they own. Prior to that, for 7 years, I was general counsel of the Oklahoma State Department of Health, working with ESPA. We worked together on many projects. Prior to that, for 16 years, I worked with the Department of Environmental Quality, doing water and wastewater enforcement. And did some other things prior to that. I'm very happy to be here. This is a great city, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you moving forward.
Thanks, Don, and welcome. Mayor, that's all I have at this time.
Ms. Eads, you have anything?
I do. So tomorrow, the 28th, there is a benefit that the Midwest City Police Department is putting on at Chick-fil-A to benefit Special Olympics, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And there is a repeat on Friday, the 30th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. also. So if you're so inclined, please consider going out for that one.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have anything? Any announcements? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. We've got a ton of proclamations. If you don't live in Midwest City and you don't follow, there was a huge event this afternoon, and April 1st, SSM St. Anthony took over the management and operation of Alliance Midwest, which started out at Midwest City Hospital in 1962. It was a huge win for our community and a huge win for healthcare in the eastern part of Oklahoma County. We are so pleased and so excited to have this transition, and it's going to mean a lot for our community. But the negotiations leading up to this event were almost 2 years in progress. And as you can imagine, there's 3 entities involved: the previous owner, SSM, and of course the city of Midwest City. But there were 2 individuals that led the negotiations, and one of them is our own city manager, but the next one was the CEO of the hospital under the old administration, and his name is Clay Franklin. And Clay, could you come down and meet me up front? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, they're not screaming, sir. You need to use the microphone.
Yes, ma'am. I've got a lot of work while I said. Can you hear me now? This is Clay Franklin, ladies and gentlemen, and Clay was the CEO for the last 3 years of Midwest Alliance. When he first came in to take over, we noticed an air about him that just changed the whole culture of that hospital and turned it around, and actually gave SSM excellent product as a result of his leadership over there. And we've become pretty good friends over the last 3 years, haven't we? It's bittersweet. We were hoping that he would stay on as the CEO with SSM, and I'm sure he could have. But he has decided to take another turn in his career, a long career as a hospital administrator. We're sorry to see him go, but we're happy that he's he's taken on another adventure, and I know that his leadership is going to take him a lot further than what it would over here. So with that being said, whereas Clay leaves a legacy of great leadership and successfully leading the hospital through many unexpected stressful situations to a new era of revitalization, and did so exhibiting honesty, transparency, and accountability, and unyielding drive for excellence. I want to underline that. Whereas Clay's positive outlook and upbeat leadership approach was contagious for all who worked for him and with him. Whereas Clay established a vision for the hospital, and not for his dogged determination and ability to work with others, the new partnership with SSM Health St. Anthony Hospital might not have happened. Whereas Clay has fallen in love with our community and will continue to be engaged with Midwest City as he moves into new adventure, and we're excited for the state of Oklahoma knowing Clay has chosen to lead a company focused on improving health care of Oklahomans, a state he truly loves. So therefore, I, Matthew Dukes, Midwest City Mayor, do hereby proclaim April 28th as Clay Franklin Day in the city of Midwest City, and do hereby urge all citizens to show Clay the appreciation he deserves for his positive leadership and outstanding contribution to the citizens of Midwest City.
I didn't prepare anything to say. A little more emotional than I thought it'd be. The people behind me and sitting next to me, standing next to me, the relationship we started off the first time I came into council was a unique one, and the second one was even more unique. And I have a little bit of, I think, PTSD just walking back in the room, but with the transparency and the relationships that were developed, that a lot of good friends now are behind me, and that are sitting behind me or standing to my left. And we worked hard to get the hospital where it's at. And for the people of this community in the Eastern Oklahoma County corridor, a phenomenal system is stepping in, has stepped in already, that is guided with great principles, values, rich tradition, that has been in this Oklahoma City Metroplex for a long time in SSM. I know the leadership personally. I know the CEO who took over the hospital personally, and I can't be more thrilled about our community and what it is getting with SSM. But I do want to thank the city, specifically Tim Lyons. We've been through a heck of a lot together, and we could always cuss and discuss together, and always end up friends on the back end. So you have a wonderful city that's committed to the health and the outcomes of our community. So I thank you for this event. Okay, thank you, sir.
The hospital got blessed this afternoon by the Archbishop of the Oklahoma City Diocese. So we are operational, and we look for great things to be happening over the hospital. As you can see, I've got a bunch of proclamations, so just sit back and pass the popcorn and we'll get through this. Daniel Craig, come on down, buddy. One of the things that we are proud of in the city of Midwest City is our employees. And I'm going to take a little opportunity to say something. Over the last year, these employees have done a phenomenal job in this community. They've switched jobs, they've taken on other tasks, and they've done it without a complaint. They did it with smiling, and as a result, we lost 0 full-time positions in the city of Midwest City since March 9th of last year. And it's hard to retire these guys because there's nobody coming behind them to take their place, and each one of them fill a certain niche within this community. And although we're sorry to see you go, we're proud for your next step. And I can't give them anything except for a day, you know. I would give them the key to the city, but they won't give me the keys to the city. I don't know what that says. But Daniel, we're here to honor you. And whereas Daniel Gray began his career with City of Midwest City in 2001 as equipment operator 2 and resource recovery at the resource recovery facility. Whereas Dan has proven himself a valuable part of the Midwest City team, his professionalism, polite attitude, and willingness to help in any situation, especially during the difficult year of 2020, with numerous compliments from the public. And whereas his co-workers looked to Dan for help and instruction on various equipment and projects, such as the biosolids field, where he exhibited excellent leadership skills and his ability to set up. Whereas Dan patiently trained his fellow co-workers on how to operate most of the equipment at the compost facility and has worked extra hours and work weekends without complaint when needed. Whereas the supervisors state that his willingness to help co-workers is one of his biggest contributions and unifies the environment inside the department, as well as suggestions on ways to improve departmental effectiveness. Therefore, I, Matthew Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim April 29th as Dan Gray Day, and do urge all citizens of Midwest City to show their appreciation for his selfless contributions to our community.
Stay up here, Dan.
I'm sorry.
How's it going?
Paul's going to come up with this as well. So this is from the city, and this is in special recognition of Daniel Gray for loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of Midwest City, Oklahoma, from May 14th, 2001 through July 2nd, 2021. So with this is your retirement plaque, Dan, and we really appreciated you working here. Enjoyed playing rounds of golf with you. Had some good times. So, and you've been a great employee for us. So, bless you in your future endeavors and your retirement. So, you're welcome.
Randy Sherman, come on down.
Is this the price right?
Yeah, what do you bid? Once again, you know, I think we ought to do what we did in the military and put a stop loss. That means nobody gets out. You know, but I guess you're ready to go, huh?
I'm ready.
Whoa. I know the feeling.
I bet you are.
Whereas Randy Sherman began his career with the City of Midwest City in November of 2001 as Equipment Operator 1 in the Street Department, and retired April of 2021 as a sign tech, and we can't lose you, and Equipment Operator 2. Whereas the City of Midwest City has been lucky to have Randy, as he brought to us considerable equipment operation and maintenance experience for his many years with the Oklahoma City Airport Authority prior to working for us. And whereas in August 2003, Randy was promoted to Heavy Equipment Operator 2, and for many years ran the Street Department street sweeper, most exclusively until May of 2012, when he was promoted to sign tech and began expertly maintaining our signs and signal equipment. Whereas no matter what his assignment, Randy was always taking great pride in his work and completed his work at a high level of technical skill. Whereas no matter the trouble, the storm, time of day or night, Randy was able to pull his work boots on and answer the call. So therefore, I, Matthew Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim April 27th as Randy Sherman Day, and in the City of Midwest City, do hereby urge all citizens in the Midwest City to show Randy the appreciation that he deserves for his selfless contributions to the citizens of Midwest City. How many of y'all called 911? Okay. You know, there's a group of individuals down in the basement of our building right now that come to work every day. They get very little recognition, but they are the lifeline between our police and fire departments. They're also your lifeline. And when you call, they answer. And they send the help that you need. Debbie here is our emergency operations manager. Again, they get very little recognition for the job they do. They work 12-hour shifts, and they're always there. And the very least we can do is recognize them. So, and Congress also recognized that they needed to be recognized. Whereas in 1991, a congressional resolution named the second full week of April of every year is National Telecommunicator Week, knowing that 911 is the first critical contact for people in emergency situations, and the 911 call taker's voice is the first assurance that help is on the way. Whereas 911 professionals regularly meet the challenges of extremely stressful situations with calmness, efficiency, exhibiting compassion, understanding, and technical expertise during the performance of his or her duty. Whereas when the emergency occurs, the prompt response and safety of property preservation, police officers, firemen, EMTs is critical and depends upon the quality and assurancy of information obtained from the citizens who phone our 911 system. Whereas public safety dispatchers are a vital link for our emergency responders, and by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information and ensuring their safety. Whereas Midwest City public safety dispatchers provide emergency medical instructions to callers with life-threatening emergencies and contribute substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of injuries and illnesses on a daily basis. Whereas in 2020, our public safety dispatchers seamlessly incorporated new procedures and protocols regarding the COVID-19 outbreak multiple times without reduction in performance. So therefore, I, Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim the week of April 12th through the 18th as Midwest City Telecommunication Recognition Week, and ask that all of you come together and show your appreciation for these men and women who do a selfless, unrecognized job. Okay, we're almost done. It's appropriate you're here tonight. Whereas in April 2021, I don't know why I'm having trouble with that tonight, marks the 53rd anniversary of Fair Housing Act being signed into law April 11, 1968. And April has traditionally been designated as National Fair Housing Month in the United States. Whereas Title 10 in the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the federal housing law prohibits discrimination in housing and declares a national policy to provide for fair housing in the United States of America. And whereas fair housing means that one may freely choose a place to live without regard to race, creed, color, religion, sex, national origin, or family status or disability. Whereas the City of Midwest City endeavors to inform and educate citizens of their right to freely choose to live where they want to live, and whereas Midwest City is committed to equal opportunity to access housing. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Dukes, Midwest City Mayor, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as Fair Housing Month, and urge all citizens to educate themselves about fair housing and promote fair housing practices in our community. Whereas May 15th, 2021 marks the 11th anniversary of Kids to Parks Day. Organized by the National Park Trust, this annual day encourages families to create their own adventure exploring our local, state, and national parks and public lands throughout the country. Whereas the mission of Kids to Parks Day do hereby foster outdoor enthusiasts to help with developing the next generation of park stewards by engaging kids in memorable outdoor activities. Whereas discovering our parks, kids learn about park stewardship, outdoor recreation, STEM, the history of our country, and amazing national treasures, because kids need parks and parks needs kids. Therefore, I, Matthew Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim May 15th as Kids to Park Day and encourage everyone to get out in the park and enjoy it. I didn't even know this was a day. Paul? Where's Paul? Really? I didn't know.
Hey, we can actually have the compost supervisor.
Actually,
And
come
the
on
other
down.
three, and Chris,
Come on down, fellas.
hey, Ray, come on down.
You guys come on down. Another group of our great employees.
Hey, Josh, if you can get a picture of this, I'd be appreciative, because, this is a big deal. First time we've done it at our council meetings.
Here we go.
Hey, we make some incredible compost.
I
It's
agree.
worth celebrating.
My garden
Some of the
is out of
best, some of
control.
the best stuff in Midwest City is up in our compost.
My garden, I bought 11 bags last year. I'm still using
It's got the biggest tomatoes on the planet.
Whereas Composting Council Research and Education Foundation, along with Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, and other countries, have declared their first full week of May to be Annual International Compost Awareness Week. Whereas composting is a way of returning organic resources to the soil and conserving water during extreme drought or flooding conditions, reducing water consumption and non-point pollution, and a proven method of decreasing in dependence of chemical fertilizers and decreasing erosion. Whereas composting is an effective form of waste reduction, reuse, and recycling, since organic materials make up approximately 30% of the material going into landfills. Composting becomes one of the primary methods Oklahoma communities can use to reach waste diversion goals. Whereas materials such as yard trimmings, vegetable cuttings, biosolids, food scraps, manures, and hay shavings have all been composted and converted in Oklahoma to a beneficial product known as compost. You wrote this, didn't you? Whereas Oklahoma communities, through their local governments, highway departments, soil conservation service, and extension offices, and public works professionals, have significant impact on clean water, soil, climate change, and landfill diversion by using compost for their public works projects. Whereas International Compost Awareness Week is an educational initiative to showcase compost production and demonstrate compost use in the state of Oklahoma. Whereas composting creates green jobs, infrastructure for our cities and states who implement composting programs. So therefore, I, Matthew Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim May 2 through 8, 2021 is International Compost Awareness Week. Thank you,
guys.
Well, we got through that painlessly. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll move into our consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the council, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all council members or members of the audience who wish to discuss an item, it will be removed and heard in regular order. The chair to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
But a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Now we move into the discussion items of our agenda. Discussion item number 1, Mr. Lyon.
Discussion and consideration of swearing in the municipal judges Gary Bachman, Adam Bush, David Howell, Joel Porter, and Farley Ward as an alternate.
Do we need to
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Judges, could you meet me down front? You're going to have to listen to me again. Huh? Okay, one of the things council and my office gets to do is hire our judges. And before you are four of the finest individuals in this community. They come forward with and serve our community by hearing our municipal cases, and they do it fairly and consistently with the Midwest City at the forefront of everything they do. And I want to personally thank each of you for the work you do. It's awesome, and again, we're fortunate to have these individuals serve our community. So one of the things I get to do is swear them in, and this is kind of odd for an ex-cop having to swear in judges. You know, wrap your head around that for just a minute. But anyway, it's a pleasure. And so, could I ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear. I guess you were supposed to say your name. Let's start over. I, and state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma. I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. That I have not been paid or contributed either directly or indirectly. Any money or other valuable thing to procure my nomination. That I have not knowingly violated any law of the state or procured it to be done by others. I will not knowingly receive, directly or indirectly, any money or valuable thing for the performance or non-performance of any act pertaining to my office, other than the compensation allowed by law. I will not receive, use, or travel upon any free pass or free transportation during the term of my office. We're almost done. I state your name. Do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America and the Constitution and laws of the State of Oklahoma. And that I will faithfully discharge according to my best of my ability the duties of my office or employment as I am a judge for the city of Midwest City. Congratulations. Can we give these guys a round of applause? They do a phenomenal job. Oh, sure. You got it. All right. I've never been back there. Thank you, guys. Who wants to sign these two, right? Yeah. There's two copies. I'll let Jill boss you guys around.
She's good at that.
How was the cake? It looked good.
Been a long day for a tie.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Now we move into discussion item number 2, Mr. Lyon.
Consider and adopt a resolution fixing the amount of bonds to mature each year, fixing the time and place the bonds are to be sold, and authorizing the clerk to give notice of said sale as required by law.
Is there any questions or comments on this particular item? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Item number 3, Mr. Lyon.
Item number 3, PC 2059, public hearing with discussion in consideration of an ordinance to redistrict from C3 Community Commercial to SPUD, Simplified Plan Unit Development governed by the C4 General Commercial, subject to staff comments for the properties described as lots 1 and 2 of Block A of the Marydale Acres Edition, addressed as 1101 and 1107 North Post Road. This item was continued from the January 12, 2021 City Council meeting.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Harlison.
Lyon. This 1.38 acre request is to rezone the properties from C3 Community Commercial to SPUD governed by C4 with the special development regulations to exclude some of C4 uses. Current zoning does allow for marijuana dispensary. Staff met with the applicant in September of, trying to get some glare here. Staff met with the applicant in September of 2020 to discuss rezoning the area of request to allow commercial marijuana grow, light processing, and commercial uses. If the property were to use heavy processing in the future, a zoning amendment would be required. The use of light marijuana processing is allowed by special use permit in C3 Community Commercial and by right in C4 General Commercial, I1 Light Industrial, I2 Moderate Industrial, and I3 Heavy Industrial. As of this writing, staff has not received protests to the rezoning. This item was continued from the January 12, 21 council meeting in order to allow the applicant to meet with the surrounding property owners. A statement from the pastor of Lighthouse Baptist Church is included with the agenda. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this application. Of course, the action is at the discretion of the council. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Harless?
Is the applicant here?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to come down and address the council? And ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing, so if anyone in the audience has anything to say about this particular item, please, after this gentleman speaks, come forward. Go ahead and state your name and address for the council, please.
Arnold Sefcik, 5 Cypress Court, Trophy Club, Texas, 76262.
Does anyone have any questions of the applicant?
Yes. Now, you did mention that, well, I know I have the letter of the pastor, but you mentioned the last time we spoke on this particular issue about this project, that you had talked to the neighbors and talked to people in the community. Is that, did you, because the reason I'm asking you this is because I had not heard anyone, I've heard people call me, and you say that you put flyers out.
Well, we spoke to the pastor, which was your recommendation, because he had a good hold.
The pastor, well, the pastor doesn't live in the community, but he has a church. Yes, I
No,
did.
but that was your recommendation.
Right,
if I
that right
recall.
there, and also to talk to some of the neighbors in that community where you're about to put a facility where it's a marijuana facility in a neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am. We're creating jobs, not just alone that. We also
Well-
own a construction company. We do mitigation. We do other things
I want to,
besides that.
okay. And I want to say this, that I did talk to a neighbor in that community. As a matter of fact, he's next door, is right next, house is right next to where, sitting on the, his house sits on the south side,
Okay.
right. And I
Across the
spoke-
street.
Yes. No, it sits on the south side. You're on the south side of the street, you know,
We're on the
10th.
northwest side of the corner.
Okay.
And that would be the, yes, ma'am.
Well, yes, but it's on the south side of the street, you know, south side. But I spoke with him, and he mentioned to me that he had no idea that you all are trying to have a proposal to put a dispensary there where you would, actually,
Well,
you would.
the dispensary is allowed under its current zoning, so we could do that regardless of whether
Right.
the zoning has changed.
Yes, you want to grow, process, and dispense.
And then we also own a construction company, that's correct, which on that 1.3 acres, we own, so we currently operate out of 2,600 square feet in Dallas. And this is what we do. My business partner is from Midwest City, and we have
And-
15 employees in our 2,600 square feet here.
I understand.
Which would, on that corner, we would create anywhere from 20 to 30 jobs.
Sir, I understand what you're saying, but you have to realize the proximity where you want your business is in a neighborhood, just houses from the north,
There's also
the south.
There's also commercial around there as well.
Commercial is what, sir?
There's if you, on the northeast corner, there's a grocery store.
That's a grocery store.
Yes, ma'am.
That
Commercial.
service, sir, the reason I have a problem with this is because, first of all, the type of business that you are wanting to put there, it can be problematic for that community. And I say that because of the fact.
Which aspect of
Well,
the
see,
business?
it's already has been some issues in that particular community. And I spoke with the pastor, and he told me the same thing. There's been problems. I say, well, I see this could be even a more problem for that community where you want to establish a growth, a processing, and to dispense.
The reality of the location, a dispensary is probably the last thing I'd put on there based on its location, based on its traffic count. If you look at the traffic count going up Post and 10th, I will not put a dispensary there because there's not enough traffic through there.
You would not what?
I put a dispensary there. And I even, within my initial opposition to put all this together, was I would even elect not to even have the right to put a dispensary because there's not enough traffic for me. It doesn't make sense. This is a business to grow, a business to process, and a place where I can house my construction company and have it all in one location.
Well, you mentioned here is that also to grow, process, and for commercial use. So what would be the commercial use?
I
for
own a
that?
construction company in Dallas, Fort Worth, of which we will open up here. which is a mitigation construction company. When you guys had the big freeze, we come out with dehumidifiers, we come out with fans, we dry out your facility, we get it ready, write the estimate for the insurance company, submit that to the
My-
insurance company, and then we come back and we do the construction behind that.
I have another concern, the odor. There could be possibly an odor expelling from your business, the marijuana smell in the community. I have a problem with that.
We use carbon filters, everything's closed cell foam, sealed up, no issue. Yes, ma'am.
So you want to grow, but your facility would have ventilation to not where there's no snow coming out at all?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said it's not a dispensary, but it's actually a growing facility, and then you'll package and send it out, is that correct?
That's correct. And then, so if you look at our, and I don't know if you have the actual proposition of what we propose to the city, there's two 5,000 square foot buildings and an 8,000 square foot. The initial concept was to have the 8,000 square feet as our company, which is ICS, Insurance Construction Services. Then the other two 5,000 square facilities would be part of the other operation.
So there's no retail sale? there at
No,
all?
sir. There's not enough traffic there's no
Even
reason.
if somebody wanted to buy from by law, you can't do
You
it.
can't sell. We can't sell. There's not enough traffic to do anything there that would make any of that, any value to it.
So how are we going to be guaranteed that there's not going to be an odor of marijuana dispersing in the air in that community?
I mean, I guarantee you, I mean, we have, we have the equipment, the technology now to prevent that.
Billy, did you all send out letters?
Mm-hmm.
Did you all send out letters?
Yes, we did.
How many feet?
By state law, 300 feet
Okay,
surrounding.
did you get any,
We have not had any complaints,
nor phone calls or anything?
nor phone calls. I will say this, that the zoning goes with the property, and under right, even now, the applicant's correct, they do have the right to, have a dispensary there as it sits now, so. for
But
that
they could
word.
have a dispensary, but not a grow.
Correct.
Exactly, or
And they're
processing,
requesting, processing. and they-
unless we change the zoning.
Yeah.
And this is different, in my mind, from when we've had applicants come before us previously who have attested to the fact that there will be some odor. It just will be minimal. Same thing, it's been likened to previously like a barbecue restaurant. There's some odor that comes out in spite of the ventilation that's put in place, in spite of the attempts to control the smell. But do you have any information to shed on that, Billy? Is that accurate, that there's going to be zero odor going into the neighborhood based upon the proposal the
Well, they
applicants
will be
before?
required to put in everything in as far as what code is required. Now, whether they maintain that to, top-notch, maintenance, I don't know.
And we don't have any ability for oversight for that, correct, once it's
You know,
rezoned?
once you get into obnoxious smell, that enters into a different part of the law that I'm not super familiar with. But yes, if it was super obnoxious, then I think there would be a chance to pursue them on that. I'm just not familiar with that part of the law.
Council, anybody have anything to say? Our council,
Ms. Kelly?
okay.
I was just gonna say, with regard to the smell, a lot of the complaints that we've had have been multi-tenant buildings that have shared the common wall as opposed to standalone buildings where it's just that one use in that one building.
But there have been complaints about the odors for other processing locations, is that accurate?
Dispensaries.
Even dispensaries, okay.
But
And
they
it
don't
is.
have the same type of equipment that we do. As a dispensary, it's product there. You're not, it's closed cell foam, you're not sealing things off, you're not using carbon filters, you're not using the type of equipment and technology that we have.
Okay,
And we're not, it's not something that's a use there on site. It's not. None of that is there.
So if you didn't get the spud tonight, would you still put your business there, or could you put your business there?
So we're under contract with the property. Okay, so with the current requirement of construction, the development, the infrastructure from drainage, it has no use as far as I'm concerned. We cancel our contract, we lose our earnest deposit and it goes and sits on the market, because in order to develop it, what has been future developed there, you can't do it. It's economically not possible at this point. It's just not. So it just sits. And it just sits like it is now, and maybe 10 years from now or whenever that is, it comes around the corner. But right now, economically, that location doesn't support anything else other than what I'm proposing to do right now.
Back to the odor, and they're asking you, Billy, about the enforcement if there's odor. Isn't there a requirement that they get re-licensed every year by the state? So if there's a licensing deal, that's where our teeth come in when they try to get re-licensed. We can
Right.
object to that license, correct?
Yes, Councilman Byrne, that's correct, and I think there are some teeth there. It's just always difficult to follow up on that. There is regular licensing. We go out, and fire department goes out there to inspect. We would go out there to inspect to make sure that they're doing the things that they're saying they do. So like the light processing, you know, that's, there's been a few questions about what that is. And light processing is defined by the state law as a simple joint roller is a light processing, and they have these things that look like a crock pot to help boil or take out the oils or the good part of the product and put it into a vape. Light processing, so we go out there and check those things to make sure that they're doing what they say they do in the application. And so if there's something that's not functioning correctly, then we would pursue that.
And that could lead to their license from the state being revoked too, correct?
I would think so, yes, sir.
Council, one more time. Is that accurate in your understanding? Do you guys have an understanding to advise us? Anybody? Going once, going twice? Okay.
Is there any further questions of the applicant?
Well, I would like to say this, that the neighbor, he did mention that he did not want that facility there near his home.
Is he here? Is he here? Did you?
He's
let him
not
know-
here. I did speak with
You did
him.
let him know that it was tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
he was aware, but it was a little bit, time was running a little bit too close for him to try to make it to the meeting. But I actually stopped by because I want to make sure that the residents are aware of this. And he said he never received anything
It's
in
all
reference
certified.
to,
It's all certified.
We send it out as far as stated requirements. Now, if they're a renter, the landlord would have received
Mhm.
it. You know, whoever's the record owner would have received that notice. Or they might have been beyond the 300 feet.
If he was just south, on the southwest corner, he would be within that requirement, for sure.
Any further questions or comments? Does anyone in the audience have anything about this particular item? Therefore, I'd entertain a motion.
I'm going to move to table. I'd like legal counsel to be able to answer my question about the odor process and what the obligation is with relicensure. And since we don't know the answer, I don't feel comfortable in moving forward. So I'm moving to table.
I
Do I have a
second.
second on that?
I second.
Okay, I have a motion to table this particular item and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I mean, can I say something?
When are we bringing it back to?
I'm probably not
We
coming
did-
back based on the situation. I mean, I feel like there's too much resistance based on the amount of money that I'm gonna spend to develop that corner and put 20 or 30 jobs on that corner. I understand your concern, but, I mean, I'm probably not.
But,
No, we would have to bring this back in 30 days, correct?
right. We need to find out the safety of the residents.
And I
plus the
understand that. So
odor.
if that's the question, and if it's your question, I'm okay with that. But if it is the question of there's a homeowner that's over there, I'm not okay with that. And they have every right to be here tonight. If you spoke to them and they knew when the meeting was, and if they have a true concern,
Sir,
then they would be here.
Regardless of how he feels, it is our discretion to make that decision
And I understand
based on information that we receive for it's the odor. And,
For sure.
and of course, other things
And it's
I
my
have.
discretion to spend
and
$1 million
other-
on that corner.
Right. And what I've already discussed, the problematic issue, it exists in that community. And the pastor did mention that, and he said, well, I wonder if that's gonna, add to the problematic issues that they have in that community.
Sir,
Because you're gonna be growing
Yes, ma'am.
and processing.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
for my 2 cents worth, I would just like the answer to know.
And I understand
If the
that, for sure.
licensure, because with all due respect, I appreciate the fact, and technology could have changed, and I don't know the answer to that, but we've had other folks come in as applicants
Right.
and tell us that with regard to the odor, you know what I mean, they're gonna do everything they can, but there could be an issue.
I respect that, and I'll take
And just because
that.
of the proximity to the residential, I'd
If-
like to know the answer to that from our legal counsel.
So if that's the only question on the table, then I will proceed, but if that's not, then I will not.
Apparently, that's the only question. and
Basically,
we
it's
would
no.
ask that you be patient.
And I'm okay with that, but if
come
that's
back.
the only question on the table right now, then I'm okay to proceed. But if it's not, then I'm not interested in.
Well, we'll bring this back as soon as possible. What's the next schedule? Huh?
I think it's the 25th of May.
25th of May. We will reconvene the 25th of May, and we will have an answer, and we will be able to give you an affirmative go-ahead or no. Is that fair enough?
If I can maintain the extension within the current owner, then that is fair enough.
Thank you, sir. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item number 4, Mr. Lyons.
PC 2063, public hearing with discussion and consideration of an ordinance to redistrict from RHD, high-density residential, to RMH2, manufactured home park, for the property described as part of the Southwest Quarter, Section 7, Township 11, North Range 1 West, and addressed as 10301 Southeast 29th. No action was taken on this item at the January 12th, 2021, and February 23rd, 2021, or March 23rd, 2021 City Council meetings. Billy.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. This 28.2 acre request to rezone the property from RHD residential high density to RMH2 manufactured home park. The area of request currently serves as Parkway Manufactured Home Community. The lot has been operating as a legal non-conforming use. The owner met with staff and stated that he would like to expand the manufactured home park to allow for additional 18 lots. In order to expand the existing non-conforming use, the zoning for this entire parcel must come into compliance. Therefore, the applicant is requesting to rezone the parcel for expansion. The proposed expansion includes 3.02 acres and will be served connecting the drive on the 2 existing streets within the community. Due to concerns from the neighbors to the north of this parcel, the applicant agreed to amend the legal description of this request to exclude the former railroad right-of-way along the northern part of this parcel. This will serve as a buffer between the mobile home community and single-family homes. No action was taken at this item on this item in January 12th City Council meeting. Following the meetings, staff and the applicant have discussed how to move forward with this application. Per the attached letter from the applicant, if the rezoning request is approved, the applicant has agreed to initiate the preliminary plat process for the entire parcel no later than November 21. And prior to any expansion of the park, the applicant has agreed to meet all requirements with the subdivision regulations, including conducting a drainage study, providing the drainage easements along the northern portion of the property, and connecting all new and existing units to city water and city service. A complete list of items the applicant has agreed to provide is part of the application and attached. Action at the discretion of the council. And so if you remember, when we heard this before, there was the question from the mayor is, what if they move north with one parcel or one unit? And that brought into the question of how far does this go as far as bringing them into compliance? And after sitting down with the applicant and talking through those issues, it's all agreed that they will do the platting and then they will do the drainage study. And before they did the drainage study and everything, they wanted to make sure that they were going to get the zoning, which is fair enough. And so we appreciate their patience and also working with city staff to come to this conclusion. And I think it'll, as far as a mobile home park, it'll be, when it's all said and done, it'll all be brought into conformance and drainage issues and all those things. So,
You said a little minute ago that it's non-conforming right now.
yes.
With everything that you've said, and everything they've agreed to, if we approve this, it will be conforming throughout the whole park, correct? Is that true?
It's a mobile home park, so I'm scared to say all of it will be brought into conformance, because I don't want to make anyone think that the existing mobile homes will be brought into compliance and
I'm
that
not
they will go
talking
through
about
this.
the mobile homes.
But as far as water,
Those
sewer,
responsibilities.
drainage, creation of the lots, all of those things, yes, sir.
The stuff that we have
Okay.
issues with,
Yes.
on a regular water, drainage, street, all that's gonna be brought
Yes.
up to our codes.
Yes, sir, and at the end of the day, as new mobile homes move in and they're inspected or whatever, they will eventually all be brought up to a compliance.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone in the audience have anything to say about the particular item? Does anyone have any questions on the horseshoe of the applicant or Mr. Harless?
Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Mark Zitzow with Johnson & Associates on behalf of the applicant. We appreciate everyone's time and patience with this. We've taken the last few months to work with staff to make sure we address all of the questions that came out of the last council meeting. And ultimately, I think that what came out of it was a better understanding for staff as well as our design team and the client as to what exactly is going to be required post the zoning. And so Billy outlined most of those things, and we've committed by November of this year to come back with the final plat, the drainage study, and all of that. And you know, if there was questions to the time frame, right now it's a very thick property. It's very heavily wooded. So the survey alone is going to take about 2 months to complete, and then the flood study. We've agreed with fire department's request of new water lines, fire hydrants, all of those things that will bring the entire park up to conformance. So happy to answer any questions.
So they all, and I know who you are, but you're with Johnson & Johnson, but they've agreed to everything that Billy said, correct?
Correct, and the property owner is here.
Okay.
Move to approve. I'm sorry, did I cut you off before you were done?
Second.
I'm sorry.
I have a motion and I have a second. Does anybody have any further discussion on this item? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. It's approved.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. Item number 5, Mr. Lyon.
C 2075, discussion, consideration, or approval of the replat of lots 1 through 5 of Block 2 of the Radford Edition described as a part northwest quarter of Section 35, Township 12 North, Range 2 West, addressed as 8708 Northeast 5th Street.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. This is a 1.5 acre replat off of 5th and Oakview. This request is to divide 5 existing lots into 10 lots for residential development. The pre-application meeting for this replat was held on December 1st, 2020. The lots are currently vacant and undeveloped. All proposed lots meet the minimum standards regarding lot size. If approved, the home built on each lot must meet all the minimum house size, exterior, construction materials, setbacks listed in the zoning ordinance. The applicant has requested a waiver to have street improvement requirements along frontage of all proposed properties. Extension of city sewer and water will be required for all proposed lots. Planning Commission recommended approval of the waivers request and the replat. Action is at the discretion of the City Council. Answer any questions.
I've got a couple statements to make, and Billy, this is not directed at you, and this is more how I feel about this and towards the people at Habitat for Humanity. I support Habitat. I think it's a great idea. They provide a service a much-needed service to not only our community, but central Oklahoma. And I think what they're trying to do there is admirable, and I think it will give 10 families a good, safe place to live. The issue I have with it, though, is we, over the past year and a half, have taken a pretty consistent stand on the waivers. Now, I actually went out there and looked at this street because I know what they're trying to do, and I know there's a cost to this if we approve it without the waivers. But, I really struggled with this because, like I said, I know their concept, I know what they're trying to do, and I know us approving it and not granting the waivers it's gonna cost them some money. But I can't in good conscience, since we've taken a stand, at least I have, I'm speaking for myself, I have routinely said no, especially when it deals with water and the possibility of the water with the drainage in the curbs, in the streets. That street on Fifth Street there it's not close to being a standard street. And if they're gonna put a house in there, I know we're looking at it a little different because it's Habitat for Humanities, but I don't think we should because it's a development. There's gonna be 10 houses there, and I think we would be doing a disservice to the people that are gonna move in there if we don't require, when the houses are put in, that the streets be brought up to code along with the curbs, the guttering, and the sidewalk. And the sidewalks don't bother me as much. I know it's one of the deals, but there's sidewalks in every part of that community over there except this one little block, which is where they're wanting to put the homes, and it just happens it's vacant. But in my position, I know we're not gonna take the vote right now. I'd like to see this project there. I think it's a good deal, but I don't think that I could vote for it with the waivers.
I'll have to back you up on that as well. As council, we've taken a very strong stand with developers throughout the last couple of years on half-street improvements and what have you, and the issues that has created for this city in the past for allowing those waivers. Also, there's a civil litigation issue that if we divert from that, we could end up in litigation as a result of our inconsistency in our decisions on this horseshoe. So, Mr. Byrne, I appreciate what you said, and I also advocate for it as well. Habitat's a great institution, and my gosh, the first-time homeowners and the ability to get into a house. But we also have to take into consideration the current conditions and also the possibility of civil litigation if we divert just because of who it is. And so, with that being said, if there's any questions or comments, now the applicants in the room, would any of you guys like to address the council?
I'd like to say something else too, Mayor. From discussions I've had, that what I was told is if we approve this and we approve it without the waivers, the city engineer is probably going to be spending some significant time working with the engineer that's going to develop this over there, because making sure that the city is, I don't know what you call it, a partnership or whatever, but working with this to make sure that, because it is connecting to a street that's improved already, that the whole neighborhood's got sidewalks and the regulation streets except for this one block. So I think, the city needs to commit that if it's approved without waivers, that we're gonna have to work.
I'm glad you said that, because I would agree.
Brandon
And we're gonna have to commit to improving that entire street. It's a very short street, but it is,
Very narrow.
it's not anywhere up to standards, and we're gonna have to commit to, I don't know how that has missed our street improvement program, but it needs some attention. And so and I agree with Mr. Byrne wholeheartedly, if we move forward with this without the waivers, then we have to commit to improve that entire street.
Yes, sir. We're going to make sure it's a seamless process. The curb, there's no 100-foot gap in the curb.
With that being said, does anybody have any questions? Does the applicant have any questions of council?
Felton, CEO of Central Oklahoma Habitat for Humanity, and I'm very disappointed because I think the way this reads right now, we can build 5 houses there without putting the street or the curb in. It's already platted for that, for the 5 houses. But if we can do 10 houses, look what an improvement that will be on that street. So, and we always put sidewalks in all of our neighborhoods. Every place we build a house, we put a sidewalk in, so that's not an issue. We can do everything, but the cost of the street just puts it very expensive for us. I mean, we have some underwriters for some of the other things that we'll be doing, but we should just reconsider, because this is going to be a great improvement in that area. Plus, it's going to be helping 10 more families. I mean, if you look at it right now, just think about 10 more all brick, 2-car garage, energy efficient homes there, and 10 more families that need some help can be in those houses. So I just wish you'd think about that. I understand where you're coming from, but I just don't understand the fact that we could go in there right now and build 5 houses without doing the street. So, which we probably will, but you could have 10 new houses.
Mr. Harless, that is correct, right?
That is correct.
I still go back to the point that if we waver from what we've done.
Ma'am, we have a council, especially over the last 2 years. I can't tell you how many cases that we have had come before us and on this very issue. Mm-hmm. And the council has taken a very firm stance with commercial developers about half-street improvements and curb and guttering. Mm-hmm. Like it or not, we've painted ourselves in a corner. And if we divert for you, then again, I'm not an attorney, but I'm smart enough to know that inconsistency leads to litigation. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what the door would be opening up. So again, I don't think there's anybody on this horseshoe that doesn't support Habitat. There's nobody. Mm-hmm. But we also have to look out for the best interests of the city of Midwest City. Mm-hmm. And we appreciate your passion. And does anybody have any further questions or comments? I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve without the waivers.
I've got a motion and a second to approve without the waivers. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The motion carried. The motion is approved without the waivers, ma'am. Item number 6, Mr. Lyons.
Discussion and consideration of a quarterly update on the progress of the execution of our general obligation bonds. Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Mayor, could we have a 5-minute recess after this item?
Yes, absolutely.
Please,
yes,
sir.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and Council, my report is before you. I'll be glad to entertain any questions.
So where are we at?
Making great progress, sir. There's a lot of dirt moving in this town.
Yes,
A lot of progress.
A lot of dirt.
The big question you might want to update everybody that's watching is what the progress on the animal shelter is.
Yes, sir. I would defer to Mr. Bundy. I've not been able to attend the last couple of stand-up meetings, so he's the project manager. I'll defer to him.
Well, Mr. Bundy is about to take the podium. I have something to say on that note. I don't know exactly where we are on the status on the inside, but the outside sure looks nice. And so we really appreciate, and there's been a lot of, how you want to phrase it, social media traffic? Is that the way? Somebody who's techie, tell me, about the looks of that building, saying it sure looks good, we're excited, we can't wait for it to open. So thankful for everybody who's doing this work.
Well, I'll pass it along to the contractors as well.
Thank you.
They recently paved, I believe, last week in advance of all the rainy season. So no more mud in the building. That's a good thing. Today, they have begun polishing the floors. There is drywall primer on the walls. They're working on the ceiling grid, but the basic building is done. It's roughed in. And so now we're beginning painting. The next transformation that you'll see from the outside will be the painting of the building. Right now it's that yellow, but it'll be white and there'll be some silhouettes of animals on the side. The painter, it's not a critical path item, so the painter is waiting for the right weather and the humidity, so.
Are we still hoping for a summer occupancy?
Yes, definitely. Most of the other items are procured or are on their way. The landscaping is going in, retaining wall right now. So every day it's a new thing. So if there's any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any other questions of Mr. Bundy? All right, thank you.
Well, I'm excited to show it to you all.
And we would love to do that. Anytime one of you would like to go look at any of these projects, contact me or Billy or Brandon, and we'll love to take you out on the golf course in a golf cart or take you out to multi-purpose and. Yeah, it's golf courses. They're ahead of schedule on the dirt work at the golf course. It's really amazing.
And we got both our fire trucks in service, correct?
I'll defer to the chief, sir.
The engine.
That's okay. I've seen them both. Chief, just stay back here. It's nice messing with Mr.
Well,
Sullivan.
the good thing about the animal shelter is that a lot of the things that have been done, people don't see them necessarily. They don't realize that 2 new trucks are here, the command vehicle's here, all the computer work's been done, the radios, the storm sirens and stuff like that. They're here. They've been here for a while. But when they drive down Reno, they can see the dog show, the animal shelter. And that's clear. It's almost done.
And Mr. Sullivan, this is coming up on the hospital, or the municipal authority agenda under consent items, but about getting rid of the obsolete golf carts.
Yes, ma'am.
And if I can just say, after driving a golf cart today that was having some charging issues and had some bald tires on it, I'm really thankful to see that item come up, that we're going to have a stellar revamped golf course with new equipment, and
Yes, ma'am.
so I can't wait to see that get off the ground either.
Thanks to you and the citizens of the community, we'll have a brand new fleet. Yes.
I think that's wonderful.
Okay, we can now move into the new business public discussion of our agenda. There won't be anything. Does anyone have anything else to bring before the council?
We're going to do further information.
Everybody's a comedian tonight.
Item
Therefore,
5.
we're recessed for 5 minutes.
And then we'll do OG&E.
both our attorneys affirmed our position. So, public relations issues, yes. Legal issues, no. And I'd much rather go the public relations route. We'll be all right.
Water. Whew.
Okay, we're now back in session, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Adams, you want to come and address the council?
If you give me just a minute before she starts, I did
Oh,
want
okay.
to, there's a
You were
street,
standing there
there's
for
a
a
street
reason.
light
I'm so
report.
sorry.
I just wanted to mention a couple of things that I think are important. It's relevant and definitely provides some context. This is under further information. It's important for you all to realize that there are some things, I know that every one of you have been patient and brought some matters to our attention, when it comes to street lights. I know it's been a challenge with the ice storm, personnel, it's been a number of things. Let me tell you that we actually thank you, Vaughn, for making this happen. He facilitated a transfer from the golf course, while it's closed. They had some personnel that needed to move. Well, one of those people, we moved over and they became the streetlight monitor. We actually had a vacancy. We didn't have somebody, we couldn't find anybody to fill the position. We had a couple on the hook, a couple nibbles, and lost them. Well, this gentleman came over from the golf course and has been doing an incredible job. I wish Steve Bray was here to sing his praises. This gentleman is out every day looking at lights, and we have caught a lot of things up that, frankly, we were way behind, and it had nothing to do with OG&E. What I will tell you is that after he came on, we had a meeting, got several people together, all stakeholders together, managed to bridge some of those gaps, and communication has improved significantly, and we made a lot of progress. So I'll just tell you, I want you all to know that in the end, when it comes to Streetlight Report, I'm very pleased with the progress we've made, and with that said, Can I tell him?
Yeah, it's a public record.
I'm trying to remember his first name. Wes. Thank you. So Wes, I don't know if you've met him, but fantastic guy. He's done a wonderful job. So with that, I want to pave the way for some great news. Kimberly Adams from OG&E is here this evening to answer any questions if you have them, and at the same time has some wonderful news to share with council and staff. Kimberly?
Hello, everyone. As always, I'm so glad to be here in front of you guys, and I do want to share some information. And as Paul mentioned, I also want to answer questions if I can. And I don't know for sure which way we want to go first. I'd love to start by sharing the good news, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, my first bit of good news has to do with the LED streetlight conversions that we have. I'm going to make sure I can see my little notes here. So in October of 2020, and I asked just for some data to help kind of paint a picture, we completed 87 LED streetlight conversions in Midwest City. By May 15th, we're on track. We will have 45 more LED conversions converted along Southeast 29th. Now, when you put those up between 87 and 45, you're going, okay, really, this has been going on a long time, Kimberly. I don't know how that means, if that means over all of Midwest City, how fast are we making progress? But I want to remind you, we replace those as they currently go out. Okay, so this is a 5-year plan for these LED conversions. So, but we are making progress on that. The next really, really good news that I want to share is some of you may have heard OG&E has went forth to the Oklahoma Corporation Commission to talk about our grid enhancement. And that is a major, major upgrade to our infrastructure system and a major plan. Again, another, 5-year plan. We've done some of this grid enhancement already in Arkansas. Our service area includes going into like Fort Smith, and we cover that. And just like you all are continually upgrading your infrastructure, water and sewer lines, some of you are aware we have some poles that might be a little bit old and that we need to do some infrastructure upgrades. When we have storms, there's all kinds of new technology out there that OG&E is embracing. So I'm gonna just kind of rattle off some figures here for you. In 2022, it is Midwest City's year for these circuit improvements. And I have them by circuit name. This is basically north of I-40 in that area around Tinker, but north up this way. So the circuit along Northeast 10th, we're going to be investing, and listen to these figures, $680,000 on infrastructure upgrades. On Northeast 10th, Circuit 29, we're going to invest $900,000 in that circuit upgrade. Glendale 22, $800,000. Glendale 23, $1.5 million. Glendale 24, $60,000. Glendale 31, $1.2 million. Reno 24, $1.3 million. Reno 29, $1 million. That's a little less than $8 million of circuit infrastructure upgrades that will serve Midwest City. We have to, and this is 2022, okay, so I need to make sure you understand it's not 2021 that it's coming, but I know there have been problems with outages, and what grid enhancement does, it's all about reliability and resiliency. It's things like, in my layman's term, that say lightning hits a pole somewhere that takes out just a certain area of outages. With this upgrade in technology, and this is a lame example, but I think you all can understand it, that if lightning takes out a certain portion of a circuit with this new upgrade in infrastructure, we don't have to wait for a tech to go out and reroute electricity around. It's going to be automatically caught in our system, and we'll do that. So and it's a lot bigger project than that, and I can come when you don't have near as many things on your agenda and provide you a lot more detail, especially as it gets closer. You'd probably like to know that, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that I'm hoping that will really make a difference for Midwest City that's coming. And with that, as always, I just appreciate working with Midwest City so much, and everyone in the city side of things. It's one of my favorite places to work. Do you guys have any questions for me?
So can you kind of give us an idea, where's the Glendale additions, that maybe don't?
I can't specifically say. When I was talking to our tech today in preparation for the meeting tonight, what he told me, or all of these circuits were just very close, like right across I-40 from Tinker to the north. As we get closer to the date, I will absolutely make sure I can provide you a lot more detail as to what will be affected.
Thank you.
In that same vein, so for you, thank you very much for coming and waiting to talk to us. We really appreciate it. And to Paul, we do, I note the progress, we do have a lot of open light issues and so forth. So with all due respect, if we could maybe get another update in like 60 days or something as to where we're at on things, and then figure out kind of if we're closing that gap a little faster now.
Part of the reason there's so many open tickets is because Wes has been doing his job. So a lot of those have been kind of put on that, and there's a little bit of a lag. It's not going to be immediate. What we could do is provide maybe an updated spreadsheet if you wanted to do that on the next, rather than doing a presentation. If you wanted to provide, if you would like that, if that would be acceptable to council, I'll provide a spreadsheet. We'll get another PDF put on the further information if that's okay.
So then, we'd have quarterly updates for for OG&E to come back and share with us additional details.
We talked about doing that biannually, twice a year, every 6 months. Once we kind of got over the hump and started the LED improvements or replacements, is that still acceptable to the council?
It's a council's call.
I would just say, from a personal perspective, for my folks, where you're talking right north of the base, north of I-40 type of thing, you're in my ward presumably, and as one of the people that was without electricity multiple times in the last year, once for 3 days, once for 7 days, because we have a lot of issues and we have old overhead lines. That all sounds very delightful. I mean, very, very delightful. And anything that we could do to maybe get some additional information that I could be able to share with my constituents and for the whole council to share with constituents, I think would be great, just to know these improvements are coming in. OG&E has heard the complaints and is just as a routine business practice vested with doing these upgrades and, things of that nature, just to build some community goodwill, because when you're without electricity for, 7 to 10 days, you kind of lose your goodwill perspective, so.
The good news is you had lots of company, Susan.
Sure did, absolutely, no question about, and nobody could say, council members get their lights turned on first, because, I was in the dark for a long time, so.
So was I.
See, right there, and the city manager and I had this conversation, it's like, no, there's no special treatment, like, everybody gets their turn. So, anything that we could do to kind of share that, I think would be great, and I say that, Paul, just because, like, 2 areas, for example, I was driving down Air Depot last night from 29 headed to 15, and there are literally 2 streetlights that are on and everything else is dark. And the same thing with Adair, and it's been on the list multiple times, and I've seen where tickets have closed, but then it's
They'll fix
reopened,
it.
and
Some
so.
of that does require more infrastructure. So what'll happen is, just so you all know, this has been, and I don't want to speak necessarily or run you over, Kimberly, but what I will tell you is we've had a challenge, because I myself literally videotaped lights doing all sorts of weird stuff. Like one night they're on, the next night they're off, and I'm like, what in the world's going on? So some of the issue really is the infrastructure, and that's not to make an excuse, but that's the reality that we live with. So some of those street lights, you'll see big strings of them that aren't in, and it's because there's some work that has to be done, major improvement, either underground burial or pole replacement or circuits. So when that happens, obviously some of that will be more consistent, but it drives Wes crazy, because what happens is, it gets closed, he sees it closed, then he goes back out and the whole street's out. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but just understand that we can absolutely provide these updates I can give you the spreadsheet on a quarterly basis that will give those, or more frequently if that's asked or warranted. But as far as doing an update in front of council, are you guys okay if we do biannually, or would you like it more frequently than that?
Biannual's fine.
Well, you'll get the spreadsheets and information, yes.
I absolutely will
Share
do that.
some information that we could push out via, help me, communications wise.
And keep
For
in
Friday
mind.
updates. Well, you want something you can
Updates.
share. Yeah, well, Paul can work with Josh and we can,
And keep in mind, the dollar figures and the amount that I've shared, we're still a year out. Okay, so I want to make sure I set that expectation that, I don't know if that's something we really want to, put out right now, but I want you all to be aware that it's coming.
And if you're not comfortable with that, I understand, I'm just trying to share
No,
some good news.
Yeah, absolutely. And as soon as we have, I have material I can share, I absolutely will.
That works for me, that works for me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the incoming chamber president, are you not?
I am.
The mic's right there.
Congratulations.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
we're,
That's good.
thank you. I will tell you this, and I'll make another plea that has nothing to do with OG&E, but Bonnie is retiring after a very long time in that role, and so I've made a plea of our chamber board members, and I'll also make a plea to you all as city council members that we're just really going to have to work together, as we do. I mean, as we absolutely do, but as a team effort and a partner effort to continue moving forward here. So I'm looking forward to it. I might need some help, little guidance along the way, and those kind of things. But thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see y'all soon.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we do have an executive session attached to this agenda. I would entertain a motion to recess and go through the rest of the agendas and then come back to this.
Motion to
Reconvene.
recess.
A motion is second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. We're hereby recess from the council. I call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority. We have a consent agenda attached to this, and these items are placed on the consent agenda so the trustees, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all trustees or members of the audience which discuss an item, can be heard and removed in regular order. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we move into the new business public discussion. Does anybody have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City Hospital Authority.
Good addendum.
Again, this has a consent agenda, and these items are placed on the consent agenda so the trustees by unanimous consent can approve routine agenda items. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all trustees or members of the audience wish to discuss an item be removed and heard in regular order, and I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. We have two discussion items on this agenda. Mr. Lyon.
Item number 1, no action. Item number 2 is an addendum. Discussion and consideration approving the funding recommendations of the Board of Grantors to the eligible and partially eligible fiscal year 2021 Round 2 grant applications not to exceed $340,590 as budgeted. I'm pleased to present the recommendations from the Board of Grantors. They had a very lengthy meeting and focused on helping our COVID-impacted businesses in Midwest City. They went through the list once, and then they came back and went through it a second time, basing it on as many objective criteria as they could. And I think it's I think they did a very good job. Your appointees and the chamber appointees worked very well together.
You have the list of grants. Is there any questions or comments?
The one comment I have is that I think we need to make sure that we recognize Robert Coleman because he put a lot of time and effort into this too.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Reverend, thank you for all your hard work. That being said, Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Now move into new business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, we are hereby adjourned. There,
Right, we have
I
an executive
apologize.
session.
There is an executive session attached to this, and I would entertain a motion to recess.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? We are hereby recessed from the authority, and I call to order the Economic Development Commission. We do have a consent agenda. I won't go through that again. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. New business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the commission? Hearing or seeing none, we're hereby adjourned. And I call to order the Special Utilities Authority. And we do have one discussion item on this agenda, Mr. Lyon.
Discussion and consideration to approve the minutes of the September 22nd, 2020 special meeting as submitted.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We do have an executive session attached to this agenda, and I'd entertain a motion to recess and reconvene the council agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we are hereby in executive session. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, Jill will notify him. Yeah. Oh, were they?
Oh.
Hey, Jill?
We need to make a motion